Good afternoon, everyone. You're very welcome to Construct Innovate webinar series. My name is Magda Hajdukiewicz. I'm a co-director of Construct Innovate, Ireland's National Research Centre for Construction Technology and Innovation. And today we have another exciting webinar under the topic of modern methods of construction. It is our third webinar in this topic, which consists of 8 sessions in total, and it will run until early March. And today's webinar is titled Sustainable Scaling, the Role of Timber in Modern Methods of Construction. And we have 3 fantastic speakers with us today. The first one is Des O'Toole from Coillte, who will show us the benefits of using homegrown timber in construction. Our second speaker is Professor Robert Hairstans from Edinburgh, Napier University, discussing timber in construction skills. And our final speaker today is Annika Kadaja from Woodhouse, Estonia, giving us an Estonian perspective in timber modern methods of construction. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Des to share his slides. And for everyone attending, if you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. And after the 3 presentations, we're going to have a Q&A session where our presenters will answer your questions. So I hope you enjoy the webinar. And Des, please feel free to share your slides now.
Thank you for the introduction. It's asking me to send a request to share. So hang on.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah, or you have to unshare.
Not sure how to do it.
Yeah, there you go. I should do it. Let me find it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, stop sharing. I have too many screens.
Yeah, all right. Hang on. Just you are sharing screen.
We can see the slides, but not presentation. Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks for the invite to present here today. So my name is Des O'Toole. I'm the head of timber marketing and promotion in Coillte Forest. And today I'd like to talk to you about the benefits of using homegrown timber in construction. Coiltte's role, just for those of you that don't know, is about supporting and enabling low carbon construction. And it's about increasing the confidence in the use of homegrown timber, particularly in the specification by design practitioners. So today I'd like to talk to you about 3 topics, I suppose, on the agenda. Why timber matters. I'll be very brief because I think those that have dialed into this webinar are well versed in the benefits, the general benefits of timber and its sustainable credentials. I'll talk about demonstration and upskilling. These are just some of the projects and activities that Coillte is currently working on. And maybe what next, just a little bit about the work of the Timber Construction Steering Group and where that's at in terms of its implementation and pathway forward. So why timber matters? Just one second. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oops. Go back again. Sorry about this. Okay, apologies about that. I'm getting all these pop-up. You guys can't see it. I'm getting pop-ups on my screen, so apologies about that. Timber enables faster build times and an earlier return on investment. It's obviously renewable, and Irish timber has a unique advantage across system boundaries A1 to A3. When you're looking at LCA, it delivers a negative global warming potential of between minus 0.76 and minus 0.85 tons of CO2 equivalent per cubic meter. That's a unique selling point for homegrown timber. I suppose the net result across those system boundaries of A1 to A3 is net carbon storage as opposed to emissions. I want to talk to you today about two pillars that Coillte is currently working on. One is around demonstration, which essentially proves viability, and the other is about education and training, which is about upskilling our design practitioners and supporting their requirements in terms of giving them the confidence to specify and use timber, and specifically homegrown timber. I hope the audio works for this. If it doesn't, they're relatively short videos, so okay, so we're back on track. Thankfully that worked. I have one other embedded video, so hopefully the next one will play as well. So what's our project about? South Dublin County Council and Coillte are collaborating on a sustainable housing development on council-owned land in Deansrath in Dublin 22. It basically comprises of 27 age-friendly homes. They're all A1 BER rated. And the unique thing about them is they're 100% constructed, designed, constructed, erected from homegrown timber. That's every structural component in the studs, in the floor joists, and in the roof trusses, particularly, which is design challenging, but achieved nonetheless. We're using a data-led approach, I suppose, to validate through full LCA calculations, the technical feasibility, the building performance, and obviously the embodied carbon benefits. We're doing that in collaboration with the University of Galway. The project itself is part of South Dublin County Council's strategy to support right sizing and aging in place, and I suppose aligns with public policy objectives to keep people and allow people to stay in their own community. I mentioned earlier 27 units. They're all 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. There's also a communal space as well. The superstructure was constructed in Q4 of last year, just towards the back end of last year, in about 10 weeks. So 27 units in 10 weeks, roof tile level, first, second fix commencing at the moment. How are we going to measure impact? As I mentioned, University of Galway are independently undertaking full LCA assessment of the project. They're looking at speed, waste, and carbon benefits. We're going to publish the results later in the year and make them freely available to everybody. And I do want to acknowledge the support of Construct Innovate and our project partners as well. Cleary Doyle, Dempsey Timber Engineering, and obviously South Dublin County Council as well. The project itself is a blueprint for how we should be building sustainably using homegrown timber. As I said, it assesses the baseline embodied carbon data, and we're going to make that data available. These carbon benefits translate into a competitive advantage for early adopters. And I suppose the ask is today that if you have similar projects and you want to explore how homegrown timber could play a role in that project, please reach out to me, and my details will be on the final slide. Another area that Coillte works in collaboration with industry, particularly Forest Industries Ireland, is to support our design practitioners. We've developed a number of online resources for specifiers, particularly architects, engineers, and undergraduate, students and third level academic lecturers. One is in the form of timberspec.ie, which is an online CPD portal. They're free to access 30-minute modules on specific timber related topics. And we're going to be launching a timber specifiers guide later this year called Woodspec, and that'll be available freely online as well. So when those with timber specs available now, when wood specs available, we'll make Construct Innovate aware of it, and hopefully they can amplify and share that link to people online today and through their membership as well. Just to give you a flavor of timber spec, I have a very short video just to show you what it does and how it looks online. Hopefully this plays. So as I said earlier, the website is timberspec.ie, and I'd encourage you to maybe go and have a look at it. So what's next for timber in Ireland? Ireland is seeing a significant increase in demand for engineered wood products. Robert mentioned one or two of them there, but CLT and glulam in particular. As a result of that demand, the Timber and Construction Steering Group was established to look at what are the barriers limiting the use of timber, but also what are the opportunities. The Timber and Construction Steering Group, which is made up of government departments and officials and industry representatives, have been working for the last 18 months. And the final report of the Timber and Construction Steering Group is due to be published very, very soon, I think within weeks. That will lay out a roadmap to unlock some of those regulatory barriers and ultimately allow an increased use of timber that is there to address the challenges, pent-up housing demand, and obviously low carbon sustainable construction. As I said, just to conclude, if you do have a project and you want to talk about the potential to integrate homegrown timber into it, please reach out to me. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Des. Despite some technical difficulties, fantastic presentation, and especially great to see those resources available online now, because it may not be a new material, but the approach and using timber in the MMC, it definitely needs education, and education not only of the skill force, but also, as you mentioned, the educators, so the lecturers, people who are teaching the next cohort of engineers or people who work on site, how to use timber in the best way and how to utilize this resource.
Okay, should be seeing that
Yeah.
now. Okay,
that's
perfect.
fine. Yeah,
okay,
thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, so thanks for inviting me along today. I'm going to present on monumental construction with an emphasis on timber, industrialized timber systems, and the construction skills with regards to that. My role is at Edinburgh Napier University, where I'm a professor in industrialized timber construction, and that's part of a partnership with the New Model Institute for Technology and Engineering, which is a startup higher education institute in Hereford, in the southwest of England, where I'm director for the Centre of Advanced Timber Technology, and as a partnership arrangement between Napier and Enmite in that respect. Just to give a quick plug, if you don't mind, because we actually have a project that's running at the moment, which is UKRI funded, which I lead on at Napier with respect to what is called Thematic Working Group 6, which is on equality, diversity, inclusivity, skills and training, as well as an emphasis within the area that I'm involved with that project with regards to offsite and modern methods of construction, hence its relevance to this. So it's just to raise awareness of that project, the partners that are within it, and if you wish to find out more, there's the web link at the bottom right hand of the screen. But there's a whole series of initiatives that are running through that project that may well be of interest to you. So I would encourage you to look up the website. Today, however, the emphasis of this presentation is on modern methods of construction, which I'm sure you're aware of. Agree with the sort of terminology or not. MMC is ultimately about a process to produce more, better quality homes in less time. That's kind of the basis of it. It's obviously kind of evolved from there and has been resurfaced continuously, particularly in the UK, and has had a large degree of sort of government endorsement, and equally building off of the likes of the Farmer Review, which was obviously the modernise or die piece, and MMC is all about the modernisation, hence the term of construction. And within farmers' work, there's the sort of the definitions or the categories of modern methods of construction, which is predominantly around pre-manufacture value add, i.e. doing more in the off-site environment. As much as you can do MMC on-site in ways and means, applying lean approaches, etc., most often and frequently it's referred to the sort of off-site industrialised construction approaches and correspondingly pre-manufacture value add in that respect. For those of you that are feasibly not aware, but because of the level of endorsement, sort of government backing, the emphasis on MMC, there is, for example, a British standard BSI for MMC, what we call PAS. So there's a PAS now for modern methods of construction, which sort of specifies the requirements for the use of MMC, and with an emphasis again on new build residential properties, and housing is obviously it's consistently a sort of key driver with regards to offsite and MMC, but of course it delivers into other sectors as well as infrastructure, etc. But anyway, the PAS standard is there and contains a lot of good information to facilitate the sort of use and specification of MMC. So I just wanted to raise awareness of that. I've spoke about this, but off-site pre-manufacture value add is a key part of MMC, and off-site and modern methods of construction in many respects have been around for quite some time, to be honest, but the utilisation of off-site and modern methods of construction by its very name have ultimately evolved over time, and equally the drivers within the construction context have evolved as well. So we have regulatory drivers, obviously the need for sustainability given the climate crisis, both in terms of embodied energy and carbon as well as operational, to change the culture of construction, which is very, in many respects, what the Farmer Report was about in terms of modernise or die, so improve business model approaches and less adversarial contractual procurement models, etc. Human capital, skills, which we'll talk about today, and productivity is a key driver in terms of how we can do more, but in a manner use less. Again, coming back to that sustainability piece, and obviously digitization playing a key role. Building information modeling, ideally moving up into digital twins, and equally within that, how we can capture and codify whole life performance, and all of that helps to evolve the procurement models. So essentially there's a range of drivers, the convergence of those drivers and how they interrelate in many respects then identifies what is the right level or type of offsite for the given context, whether it be precision engineered sub-assemblies all the way through to sort of full volumetric turnkey solutions. So there's no right or wrong answer per se, but there's often the best approach that you can take, and often it's as I say, it's off-site and doing more off-site in an industrialised context, and with that brings the pre-manufacture value add and the factory-based approaches. which can go from sort of precision engineered CNC, such examples as Woodhouse. You've got really neat things like the Oakwright's modern cruck frame, and I said traditional approaches were always like with cruck frames, even medieval periods, making it off-site, marking up the carpenter's marks, and then taking that to site and assembling it. And that's obviously become much more sophisticated now with levels of digitization and automation. We have closed panel systems, which include windows and doors or internal and external lining, so we can do more in a factory environment, or as I say, sort of turnkey volumetric solutions where you often need a high degree of standardisation, repeatability to make that business model approach work. And in residential, we're seeing this in the UK market gaining a large degree of traction. It's often held up. Scotland, 90 to 95% of our housing is delivered using timber frame, a degree of percentage of that using a higher level of pre-manufactured value add, i.e. closed panels. England doesn't have the same level of percentage market with regards to timber frame, open or closed panel. However, it's gaining more and more within the market because of the drivers as explained, and we're seeing that play out through either acquisitions or expansion of current operators or major house builders such as Bellway committing more to the use of timber frame or offsite approaches. So we're seeing more and more of it, right? But one of the things to this, and one of the key aspects to think about it, is in terms of the construction delivery model and the different types of skills that are required with regards to the specialist timber contracting, whether it's an open panel, closed panel, or full volumetric, or indeed using precision engineered sub-assembly. So it's thinking about it in that regard. So to just bring that to the fore, I was going to just give a bit of an overview of our current project, which is funded through the Construction Industry Training Board, with partners at the bottom, including Built Environment Matters Transformation, Donaldson Timber Systems, one of the larger offsite operators in the Scottish and UK context, as well as the major trade organisations. In the UK, similar to the Irish context, there is the Timber and Construction Policy Roadmap. It had priority themes within it, and then what was almost identified as the priority of priorities was increasing skills, capacity, and competency throughout the supply chain. With that roadmap, which was released in 2023 under the previous government and re-endorsed by the new government, there was almost like a doubling or trebling down on it with regards to how do we deliver the houses that they were stating they wish to deliver within their term, but how do we do that via best practice, and then often quite a focus on sort of low, medium rise buildings in that respect. With regards to the UK, recognised as one of the global net importers, one of the largest global net importers, considering that full supply chain, in line with what Des was talking about, we certainly have done a lot of work to encourage the utilisation of homegrown timber resource. We've got similar species to yourselves with regards to being Sitka spruce. From a commercial perspective, the majority of which is in Scotland. But regardless, from a delivery perspective, one of the key bottlenecks in many respects with regards to construction skills and competencies is in that delivery piece, particularly when you're looking to use the sort of the higher levels of pre-manufactured value add offsite construction techniques. So essentially what we're saying is we recognise there's a construction skills gap because of the innovation that's taken place, and how do we upskill and reskill and move the educational approach to match in with the latest in innovation. So that was the basis of what we proposed. It's to build off of what we've undertaken work to create with respect to a competency framework for timber and construction, which you can see here, and that the full granulation of that sits within the skills action plan of Timber Development UK, which you can access. So we wanted to create skills and content and educational interventions in response to that, and line those up with the priorities of the roadmap around expansion of the workforce, improving pathways, improved apprenticeship models, short course modular training provisions, which ultimately we would envisage that you can stack as such, micro-credential, stack, and ultimately gain qualification for. That's certainly the ambition and the intent. So the project that we have now got mobilised, as I say, in that regard, CITB funding, it's 430k over 2 years, and it's to look to address the skills gap within the landscape. And an aspect of that is building on this competency framework piece and developing the interventions which are required. So what does this mean? So where we want to get to is essentially to improve the pathway approach. We've actually undertaken a survey and a questionnaire which identifies the available courses within the market to allow you to go from timber and construction installer, U-start, entrant, through to a qualified construction manager. So we know what is kind of available, right? But what we recognise is it's fragmented. So we want to sort of defragment that and consolidate it and then add value to it to implement a pathway approach. So it's about creating the right interventions and materials to supplement the existing delivery, or if it doesn't exist, create it such that pathway can be better defined. So you can go from a new start joiner carpenter to ultimately a timber modern method construction installer, as an example, and enhance your competency through short course interventions or through providing additionality to existing training provisions. So and an emphasis, what we're trying to get towards is a more standardised knowledge and consistent understanding and a better quality assured and blended curriculum. And if we can implement this into the market and have it accredited or delivered through a CITB accredited training organisation, or implemented into existing further education and higher education delivery, then we can get the pathway resolved and provide individuals with more flexible pathways to upskilling and reskilling, so that we have the modern construction professionals of the future that we require. So we've recently just started off on this journey in October of last year. We have a full programme of work to get through. So it's really just raising awareness of it at this juncture, and then when these interventions come into play, we're looking to disseminate them from the platform. And what we want to do through this is really strengthen ties between educators and the sector, as I say, to standardise knowledge and make it more consistent in terms of understanding, have it quality assured in a blended curriculum, improve the pathways to make them more flexible, provide training for trainers so we can establish hubs around the UK, and ultimately create an ever-increasing number of competent workers to continually reduce the skills gap and ideally make the approach more inclusive for that modern workforce, so that timber MMC increases and indeed continuously improves. And that's the basis of MMC and lean approaches. So we have more sustainable construction forms as standard. So we've got a series of key performance indicators, as you can imagine, in that respect, and we'll be working towards these over the next 2 years. And as I say, it's about implementing what we create into existing delivery, or augmenting what's not there, and creating standalone short courses which can ultimately be accredited and delivered around the UK and indeed beyond. So we'd be definitely welcoming the opportunity to collaborate with others in this respect. And ultimately, if you wish to find out more about that, there's a QR code. Please scan it, go to the URL there, and sign up with regards to any interest that you may have. And then ultimately, if you're signed up, then we'll be able to provide you access and information as the project evolves. So with that, I'll thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Robert. Fantastic presentation. And, I don't think anyone disputes anymore the benefits of using timber in construction, but it's really, really good to see those projects that kind of focus on the skills, on the, as you mentioned, standardized knowledge in the area, or kind of understanding of how to use timber and make sure that we have the high quality buildings while using slightly different material, but it's not really new material because it has been used for centuries, but I suppose coming back to this and using it more widespread. And, the mention of, how many buildings in Scotland are being constructed with wood, that's really encouraging. I suppose we'll come back to some questions after your presentation, but thank you very much for this. Thank you. If there are any questions for Des or for Robert, please type them into Q&A. I can see some of them started coming in, and we'll come back to them after Annika's presentation. So Annika, may I ask you to share your slides now, please?
Yes, sure. And thank you all for being here, and good afternoon as well. I hope you can now see my screen.
Yeah, we just need the presentation mode.
Yes, now there it is. And also I wanted to thank actually Tess and Robert for the previous presentations and that you highlighted the importance of timber in MMC, but as well to bringing out what type of skills are required when entering or adapting more modern methods of constructions. And my today's goal is actually to share the Estonian experience in this field, because when we talk about the scaling up, then we need to have from one side the demand, and from the other side we should have the environment that allows us to scale up. We know that we have the demand. At the end of December, European Commission also shared documentation for the strategy for affordable housing. So there is a really huge need for housings, and we need to speed up and raise the productivity of construction sector. But to create the environment, then it's not only up to the industries. That's what I want to also highlight. It's also about the policies and education, and this is where I will today put the focus. And hereby, I'm really proud to state that I would say that in Estonia, in our public sector, at least we have understood the importance of timber construction, but as well the importance of industrialized construction. And we have really great initiatives to support the construction industry to raise the pace. We have this long-term construction strategy that is not only the agreement between the ministry who is responsible of the construction and the private sector, the construction industry, but it also unites educational ministry and so on. Then also we have this great initiative called the Green Tiger Roadmap, the Tiger Leap, to really boost this more sustainable creation of a living environment. And at the same time, Estonia, well, we have a huge challenge with aging building stock. So we have also our national building renovation plan. All those initiatives are actually highlighting that the buildings, the new ones, but also the existing ones, should be energy efficient, durable, and adaptable. And they are also highlighting the importance of adoption of low carbon and bio-based materials. But the main goal is really to raise the productivity and efficiency of construction sector to provide long-lasting living environment. And at the same time, it's not only the policies that we have written or we have that in the agenda. We see more and more public sector references. And so construction projects like kindergartens, schools, or any other institutional buildings that are being designed to use more timber and to use more prefabricated elements, so-called modern methods. And I personally believe that we wouldn't be in such a good place in Estonia if we wouldn't have such strong timber construction expertise. We have been the largest exporters of prefabricated wooden houses for over a decade. And this is also the illustration that I'm today, you can see on the picture as well. Yes, we are not the largest producers of prefabricated wooden houses, but we are producing more wooden houses than Finland, for example, is. And this means quite a lot for Estonian economy as well. So more than a decade, we have provided high quality industrialized construction solutions for the most demanding markets like Norway, Norway and Sweden is. And when someone is asking from me, what's the difference between Estonian Woodhouse producer and any other, then I would call our producers the innovation leaders, as our companies have been at the forefront with experimenting and innovating with timber building solutions. Already in 2015, we have built the world's largest timber building. Here at this reference, you can see timber building that it's not just only from the massive timber, but it's also modular solutions. So the modules have been inserted in the building's structure. And this is the other nuance that I would like to highlight, that our experience and our companies are really eager to experiment and finding hybrid solutions to make difficult projects to happen. Today we are building also the largest timber building in Estonia that is a hybrid construction, to illustrate also how massive timber and 2D panels can work together. And today we are also, I don't have any slides for that, but today we are also renovating old apartment buildings using 2D panels. So basically we are putting a coat over existing old apartment building, so insulating them with these 2D panels. And we are driving for efficiency, and actually efficiency is the core of it all. For example, in modular construction, it's possible to build kindergarten with 170 days, even under the most harsh circumstances. In this reference, we built a kindergarten in Ukraine at 2023. When the war started in Ukraine, then we quickly consolidated with the factories and said that we need to prove to the rest of the world that we don't have to wait until the end of the war to support Ukraine. Ukraine needs already today these type of investments to keep their people motivated to how to say to keep them motivated to be alive. And we consolidated, and quite quickly the Ukrainians also told us that please invest in our future and build us a kindergarten, something for their children. And it took only a matter of months to design it, to produce it, and then install the modules in Ukraine during the time when all the missiles were just flying by constantly. But when talking about the more like large scale buildings, then I would say it's an average to actually build apartment building with less than half a year. It takes only a couple of months to produce the elements, the modules, and then several or a few months to assemble it. And even at that time, I would say that the most of the works are actually the outside works take time, the landscaping and so on. So hereby you can see also one of the apartment building development projects where they have the producer had an agreement with the developer that every after 3-4 months there should be one apartment building ready. And here you can see that the September 2024, the first apartment building was finished. The people could move in December, the second one, and in February, the third one. So the keyword is the prefabrication, the industrialization. And I must say that the level of industrialization can be up to 90-95%. Where all the furniture and everything is installed already in the module in the factory. But this is also what the previous presenters also showcased. So while we are in a good spot in Estonia, we have the knowledge, we have the supportive, how to call it, like governmental system and environment. Then still we have this challenge. We have this challenge that the construction sector isn't attractive for youngsters, and the society is aging. And today we see that more and more people would like to become some social media influencer or IT specialist rather than a designer, an architect, or just a construction worker. And even those who have started their studies in construction industry or sector, then we see such a huge dropout rate. And this is a really big issue, as our ambition is to raise our turnover up to 1 billion euros, then we require more than thousands of new workers. And while we know that the governmental actions are slow, then we need to be even more active in this field. And actually, several years ago, the companies or our sector actually took a commitment. Let's put together our own educational program to shorten the gap. And our response was to establish Woodhouse Academy. And it's not just another educational institution or training center. It is more like a supportive mechanism from the industry to the educational institutions. in meaning that we have created different educational courses as e-learnings, and we are providing it to the schools. They are integrating our courses in their internships, but as well in their everyday learnings. Here you can just see one of the visual from the student side. So, for example, if there is a course for introduction to manufacturing or timber construction manufacturing, then we have divided it between different topics. From the beginning, the ABC, what is a timber construction, until the how to prefab or how to build the modular building, up to the transportation and logistical issues, how to protect it from the moisture and so on. And the students can actually go through these courses at their own time, whenever they want, at their own pace. They can look the videos as much as they want. They can go through different exercises, as we have also developed different exercises to really understand the topic and the issues. And what we are expecting from the education institutions is to just take this tool and integrate in their existing curriculums, provide elective courses, develop micro degree systems, and so on. So to scale up, actually, whatever topic it is, in our context, it's the timber construction and the modern methods of construction, then we need to make investments. The companies need to make the investments, and they need to be even more proactive to shape the future and invest in the people who will eventually work for them. And as stated here as well, the policy visions also must be matched with the educational need, vice versa. And only then we can unlock the full potential of the green and digital transition in construction sector, if we have these motivated people to do it. So thank you. That was shortly from us.
Thanks very much, Annika. Fantastic presentation, and great to see what you're doing in Estonia. And we can also see the use of timber construction behind you, with a lovely view of the timber wall and the timber growing outside. So that's the brilliant connection. We have some questions coming in.